initiate the program, I'll request our colleague K.S. Mishra Sahab to kindly escort the Sri Manoj Das ji, President LMA Patnaik Sahab, CGM State Bank Sri A.K. Singh Sahab to the dais. Warm welcome. As usual, to initiate the program of LMA, I would request all of you to please stand up at your place, and I'll read out the vision and mission of LMA. You kindly repeat the same. The vision: a high profile, vibrant body of professionals contributing to make UP as Uttam Pradesh. The mission is: we sensitize and catalyze individuals, institutions and communities to actualize their potential. Thank you very much. Now, I would request the President LMA, Sri G.V. Patnaik Sahab, to welcome Manoj Das ji by giving him a bouquet of flower. Please. Now I will request Mr. D.R. Sahu to honor and welcome Sri Manoj Das ji on behalf of Odia Samaj by offering him a bouquet of flower. Now, I'll request Sri K.S. Mishra Sahab to kindly honor and welcome Chief General Manager, State Bank of India by offering a bouquet of flower. Please welcome. I'll not waste any time to hear the important talk of eminent writer, thinker, philosopher, Sri Manoj Das ji. I'll request our President, Sri G. Patnaik Sahab, to give the welcome address and give the introduction of the speaker, Sri Manoj Das ji. Please, Patnaik Sahab.
Sri Manoj Das, distinguished guests, members of Lucknow Odia Samaj and Lucknow Management Association, guests, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think there is any need to introduce Sri Manoj Das to this distinguished gathering. Neither I can do justice, nor I have words to introduce Professor Das, who is the master conjurer of words. He spells, when he writes, if you have read any of his books, you are taken to a different land. The transition from reality to fantasy, from mystery to mysticism is effortless, is enchanting. Any of his books if you read. And to describe him is like to show a lamp to the sun. He is a legendary figure in Indian literature who is writing for the last 6 decades. And what he has written, you take out the jacket of any of his books which is present here, if you read him, you feel that you have been transported 1,000 years back. His book, The Lady Who Died 1.5 times, if you read it, you think that as if you are reading Vishnu Sharma, who has been charged to bring back the mischievous, the wayward prince of a kingdom. And he gives a very modern, contemporary interpretation of what has been written in Panchatantra. When I read Manoj Das, some of his books, I think as if I'm reading Isaac Newton, the Zeus Nobel laureate. In fact, another Nobel laureate, Graham Greene, once mentioned that my personal library won't be complete if I won't have Manoj Das in it. It's difficult to speak about him, but as I told you, if you take out the jacket and read his book, you know that it is Manoj Das. You give me 100 books without the names of the authors, if I read, I would say that this is the book written by Manoj Das. He has a unique style, very inimitable style. He writes both in English and Oriya. Perhaps he is the foremost bilingual writer today of our country, who has equal felicity in both the languages, who has produced 40 books in English and equal number of books in his mother tongue Oriya also. But if I, with his, what should I say, satirical eye, but a very sympathetic heart, when he writes, he doesn't offend anybody's sensibilities, but it stirs the conscience of the reader. You read any of his books, Manoj Das' creation is beyond time and space. It doesn't belong to any particular area. But once I think he has told why he started writing in English, he started writing in the late 50s. Because most of the Indian fiction which is written today, they don't represent the Indian ethos sincerely. He felt that he was haunted by this feeling that what is passed by as Indian writing in English are not truthfully Indians. He is a crusader. He is just not a writer. He is a crusader who has taken this task on himself, that the invasion of the Indian heritage, Indian culture, by decadent values, we must save it. And he has taken his pen as his sword. The Manoj Das we see today is a different person. Of course, I am not going to talk about his literary achievements, the accolades he has got, the various awards he has got over this last 6 decades. Who started as a writer at the young age of 14, published his first book, started editing a magazine at the age of 15, Digant, The Horizon, which in time to come became the most important literary magazine in Orissa. And during the last 6 decades of his creative life, he is not only published in Indian languages, in the major languages all over the world. In most of the important universities, Manoj Das books are being taught. But when I think about the person behind the writer, it is a great evolution, I would dare to say. The person who you see today sitting in front of you is not the same person 60 years back. As a firebrand student leader, the police lodged cases against him on the charges of sedition and waging war against the state. But the same state, the same time when he was behind the bars, also sent him to Bandung for the Indo-African, for the Afro-Asian Students' Conference to represent the state. Misery, human deprivation, suffering of the common man pushed him towards communism. But his restless soul realized the communism is not the panacea for human misery. He thought that ignorance or lack of consciousness, absence of consciousness might be the reason of misery, and brought him to mysticism. And he went and became ashramite in 1963 at the young age of 29, and he has never looked back. His writing is a testimony of the person which has grown over these last 6 decades. And today, when he speaks, he doesn't speak as a writer. In the nature of the Indian seer, it says, when he speaks, we don't read him as just a reader of another entertaining book, but somebody who can see beyond time, who has a message for today and tomorrow. So all his books are suffused with spiritual effervescence. You read any of his books, very effortlessly can move from reality to the metaphysical. You can move from fantasy. And all his characters, they are people like us and people from the other world also, whom you think that as if they populate our planet. Today, of course, Mr. Das would be speaking on a subject when our age has become the age of Twitter and Facebook, when we can reach out to the world, reach out to many, but cannot retain few. When we think that the world is in our hand, but we have distanced ourselves from our own family, from our own friends, the subject of faith and friendship in the changing world of values is very relevant. It is relevant not for you alone, but is relevant for your children. It's a message for them, for the younger generation, because we have stopped. Today, the mundane world, the today's world is so much with us that we have closed our eyes to the future. And for persons like us, is a friend, I would say, is a friend, philosopher, guide for people who have not lost their eyesight, but who have lost their vision. I, on behalf of Lucknow Management Association, the Lucknow Oriya Samaj, and on my personal behalf, I extend a very warm welcome to Professor Das. Certainly you have not come to listen to me. I have come like you to listen to him. Sir, it's a proud privilege for all of us to have you amidst us. Thank you very much.
Among all the creators, the philosopher, thinker, the seer, they are the supreme category of persons of the society, and they show the path for the people for ages to come. Before I welcome Sri Das, I would request all of you to give him a standing ovation before he starts his talk. Thank you. Sri Manoj Das ji.
My esteemed friend, Sri Gopabandhu Patnaik ji, all my esteemed friends on the dais, and dear and kind listeners. Among you, there are so many important people. I am sure this kind of audience is accustomed to very sophisticated topics, be it humanistic, scientific, technological, or otherwise. The topic on which we decided, Sri Patnaik and myself, to initiate a thinking process today may appear very simplistic. In fact, my limitation is I am not an academic scholar. As a creative writer, and particularly because I live in an ashram, I receive numerous queries from my readers and even people who are not my readers. And one of the frequent observations I come across is this: today You cannot believe anybody. How to live in this world? How to communicate your feelings to somebody?